Ah, we told you only the best. We're back with one fabulous artist, sculptor. Do you know, I met this young fella at a recent art show. It was an art tour at Scott Moore's fabulous foundry and showroom. And Keith is one dynamic individual. You know, you've seen full-size posters, billboards, I should say, on highways, etc. And you see the detail. Well, that's easy because they're blown-up pictures. But how about an 18-foot sculptor that's going to sit on a building downtown Sarasota, actually the Citrus Square building on Orange? It's going to be, it takes up the whole front of the building. 18 foot of detail, which is so difficult to do. That's how talented this fella is. There's no sense even talking about introductions or anything of the sort. Let's bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, Keith Christopher. Hi, Keith.
How you doing?
Boy, you have some talent. Why don't you talk about what you have here?
Okay, I have a number of different things. I have, this is something I just started locally. It is to try to capture, you know, that pregnancy time when people are expecting for kind of the local community, and then get it in a number of different ways and different colors and stuff. So I wanted to have a line of work that was more for the local community, and that's one of them. This piece over here in the center is called Angel Dance. It's one of my earlier works. That's a bronze. That's more of kind of my gallery lines. And then this is another one of my series. I do the female form, the male form. And then I've got some other.
Tell me about the inspiration for it. For instance, you talked about the first piece, which I happen to love. I love it for the subject matter. However, did you studied your anatomy, kiddo.
Yeah.
And my brother was a fabulous artist. Ended up with an art service, an art gallery of his own, and he refuses to paint anymore. But he would adore your use of, in your tonality as you do.
Thanks.
But to translate this into the castings that you do, it's incredible.
Well,
now talk about a little bit about. I love the flight of this woman.
It's called Angel Dance. It's limited edition bronze. There's the single female, and then there's a male in a very similar position. Then the main piece, the male is in the position she's in, and she's inverted over his head, and that's kind of her hand is touching his face, and that's why it's called Angel Dance.
But then are these then available as a trio? I would want that myself.
Correct. Yes, it is.
Because there's a transition from one to another. Mm-hmm. Folks, you've got to see the detail in the wings. Every feather, every piece is done, and again, his anatomy as the woman reaches up, and I'm a sort of a student of that as a result of my brother's training, and I loved what he did. That he was able, and you certainly have captured it, and to capture it in bronze, incredible.
Well, thank you.
Then we move up to what I like to call voluptuity. This is really voluptuous and beautifully done.
Thanks.
The way the light in the studio, folks, hits this, I hope that if you purchase this piece that you will light it correctly, because you need to do that to show off the tonality of this. It's just a beautiful piece.
Thank you.
Now we want to talk about this gigantic piece that you've done.
Right.
The gigantic piece of absolute beauty. I'm so impressed with it. I'd like you to talk about the conception, how you came up with it, how long it took you to do it, and what went into this fabulous piece.
Okay. Well, it's the name of the piece is Pomona, which is the goddess of fruit. What you see there is a working clay. It's a clay in progress. It will be casted in a off-white resin, so the final piece will look more like a classical, marble or something you're more accustomed to seeing. That in the chocolate brown is the actual working clay.
This is then again 18 feet across. By how high up does this go?
Actually, it's being displayed about 18 feet off the ground. Seated, she's 9 foot tall seated, so standing she'd be about 18 foot tall figure.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get back at the beginning. How did this come to be?
I was approached, actually a friend of mine told me that Pierce Construction was looking to find an artist for a local commission, and my background and training was in monumental sculptures from my mentor, and And one thing led to another, and I ended up getting the commission, and can't wait to see it up there and installed. Hope to have it up in 3.5 months in its final form.
Good. When you start with a drawing, and then you have to translate this into such a large scale, the transition from the drawing to the large scale and eventually to the casting, how does that process take place that the scale remains true to it and all of the folds and all of the detail falls in line?
Just mathematics. I do, the mathematical equations, and then sometimes you push and pull things. You use a little bit of artistic license on certain areas. The female foot is often foreshortened. There's different areas that you want to make sure it's right, but there's certain things that you kind of fix up a little bit so it seems right.
How would they light this on the building? I'm really anxious to see it when it goes up.
It's going to be naturally lit, and then I'm not sure what type of overheads they're going to do. I think that's yet to be determined.
Folks, you've got to see this. Of course, as you said, this is in chocolate brown tones because it's clay. When it goes into the casting, then what? Then it becomes bronze?
It would be a white resin. It would be in white.
A white resin.
Yeah.
All right, I'll tell you, I'd like to see, if we can, the piece just to the right of it. This is some of your, obviously, your artwork.
Correct. That's my early body of work. I did the large father with the child. It's called First Day Home. That was my first piece I did back when I was 19. It's a memorial to my father. And just to any father, any good father out there that takes the time to do that important job. And then one next to it is called First Steps, and that's kind of to illustrate the bond between siblings and that lending hand.
And now what I consider a piece that I would like to have in my home. Let's go to, and tell me about this pièce de résistance.
This piece I've done, this is something I'm offering in the local market for, for newborns, where people can have their newborns created. In fact, I have the model here in the studio. Let's see if he wants to come say hi. What's up, buddy? This was the little guy that posed for it. Hello. He's not very happy.
Handsome.
I think it's nice that when you see them, when you see them grow, you go back and kind of, see them together, see if I can get him next to it. So that was his little head at one point. So he was a great little model.
That's
I think he wants to get back to Daddy.
That's you, honey. Go back to that. Well, I'll tell you what. When you see this piece in person, folks, you will appreciate the absolute glory of it. When I say glory of it, because I know what I'm talking about. It captures the expression, and it shows absolutely Keith's sensitivity, from the grandiose and large to this beautiful piece that sits here. I'll tell you what, as we say, we get nothing but the best on the air, on our show, and you certainly represent the best in your field. And it's something, folks, that you've got to see in person, and you've got to contact Keith, and I'm sure he will do commission pieces. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is one talented guy. Keith, thanks so much for joining us today here on Artist TV Showcase.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's our show, and what a goodie it was. It was fun, it was illuminating, and it was glamorous. We've had, again, a monumental occasion here, and we mean that, every word we say. Folks, this is the place for you, Artist TV Showcase. And we both thank you for tuning us in tonight, and we'll see you soon. Have a good week, enjoy yourself, and buy some art. See you soon.